Charlie Quirk. Let's do the meme. Where's his meme where his head gets smaller? Shrinking head. This is the guy we're talking about. Every time Charlie Kirk tells a lie, his face recedes into his head by another inch, and pretty soon he's going to turn into an actual corn cob as he saunters away, screaming, "I'm not owned! I'm not owned!" But, yeah, they always give the same answer, you know? I mean, you hear the same answer, and it's all, you know, it's so easily debunked. I mean, he even repeated the 100 million deaths. Communism is 100 million deaths. The selective moral outrage of a debunked number, even debunked by the same people that had made the initial claim that communism killed 100 million people. And you know what? You know what's crazy is that yes, communism did kill millions of people. They're called Nazis. I'm sorry that gets you so bent out of shape. You wish they didn't kill so many Nazis, Charlie Kirk. So brave. What a brave in it. But yeah, the fact that they can't say the means of production as if that's somehow valid, they're it's like a dog whistle. They can't be validating Marx. That was sort of, you know, Marx's thing, means of production. And it also makes me think, it's a very socialist, right? A socialist idea, the means of production, apparently, even though it seems ubiquitous, it seems like it should be common sense. But the point is that the means of production, what do culture warriors like Charlie Kirk need for you to believe? What do they need for you to think? They need you to think that it's a culture war, basically. They don't want to talk about the economy. They don't want to give you, they don't want to acknowledge that the economy is a totalitarian economy under capitalist rule. You know, we're living in a corporate dictatorship, okay? There is totalitarian control. So when you say that socialism is the implementation of totalitarian control on the means, and let's say the means of production, because that's what you really mean. So let's correct your mistake there. Not the best interest of people. Let's just call it what it is. It's the economy. It's socialism is totalitarian control over the economy. Well, what you forget is that there already is totalitarian control over the economy. That's always been the case. It's just a control for who? By who? And in a capitalist society, the economy is totalitarianistically controlled by capitalists. So that's not even you're not really doing anything by giving us this definition. It's not even a real definition. It's pretty vague, pretty broad, and we're supposed to accept that totalitarian control is a pejorative term and not go into it. Don't look too deeply into these words that he's saying because there's nothing there, you know, and you'll find that it's all projection and it's all hypocritical. So let's just say that he's saying that the socialism is the totalitarian control, or is the implementation of the totalitarian control, of the means of production, over the means of production. Let's just say that's what actually Charlie Kirk was trying to say, but he's too much of a pussy to say. Well, in that case, like I said, we already have that under capitalism. You're describing capitalism. Capitalists try not to project its own, the consequences and contours of capitalism onto another socio-political economy that they don't understand and aren't living in currently, named socialism. Challenge impossible, right? It's pretty silly. What you're actually doing is you're describing capitalism. But I like that you co-opted best interests of the people as if socialism is trying to pervert that when it's actually a proponent of the people. It is a working class ideology, and you, Charlie Kirk, whether you know it or not, are part of the working class. And you cannot divorce the politics from the economy. And you hear the president trying to divorce violence from politics. Every violent act is political, okay? To say that Trump, getting an assassination attempt on his life, is an act of political violence, but not, the Gazan genocide, is silly. You guys love political violence. Joe Biden thrives on political violence. Our whole economy is built on political violence. There's no greater proponent of political violence than the United States. It's the modus operandi. It's the sea we're swimming in. It's inescapable. That's what rules the world, is political violence. It's just violence done by who and for who and against who. Homelessness is political violence. Yeah, it's a policy decision. That's called social murder. And that's another thing that we should be recognizing, that social murder is murder. Economic violence is violence. The two amount to the same thing. If you are being starved to death and you die, well, that's an act of violence. If you're food insecure, that's an act of violence. But I think right-wingers just don't, they want you to fight that culture war. That's why it's, you have apartheid Clyde who's stoking the flames of the culture war. All these so-called intellectual conservatives, that's what they do. That's what you gotta get people to focus on. Because their policies in the economy are indefensible. They know that they can't defend them because it's all service of power. And it's built on this meritocratic lie. Of course, we know all that. But, it's the economy, silly. And anyway, he goes on to say, I would just pull it up. It'd probably be a better stream if I just showed you the clip. Actually, I did, in fact, share the clip. I'll show you. Maybe I just play it. I don't know. Maybe I just play that shit. Here it is. I just roasted his ass.
It's because I think you're misunderstood.
Socialism is what I see.
Oh, and what do you see?
The implementation of totalitarian.
No, Charlie. Don't take a sip of water so you can catch your breath because you can't keep up with your own bullshit.
How
Finish
meta
your
is
thought.
Totalitarian control on the means of the best interest of people under the guise of the failed doctrine of Marx and Engels.
What a buzzword salad if I've ever heard one. So socialism is the implementation of totalitarian control on the means of the best interests of people under the guise of the failed doctrine of Marx and Engels. Wow. What Charlie Kirk is actually trying to say, but he's too much of a pussy to get it out, is that socialism is the totalitarian control of the means of production. But he can't say the phrase means of production because that is somehow validating Marx. And what's hilarious is that he's actually describing capitalism, which is the totalitarian control over the economy via capitalists and the capitalist class, who are literally private owners of the public resources and the public good. That is capitalism. So, once again, world's smartest capitalist simp, try not to describe the features of capitalism while blaming a socioeconomic system that he clearly does not understand, named socialism. If there was any shred of objectivity in Charlie Kirk's propaganda, he would have said that socialism is the workers' control over the means of production, not totalitarian. Remember that the word totalitarian, according to people like Charlie Kirk, describes only communist governments or socialist governments. Never do capitalism. You'll never hear the word dictatorship, authoritarian, or totalitarian to describe a capitalist economy and to describe a capitalist government. But that's exactly what this is. We live in a corporate dictatorship. There is totalitarian control over the economy, Charlie Kirk. It's controlled by corporations, and chiefly a handful of them in this age of monopoly capitalism. That is an uncontrovertible fact. But all we ever get from people like Charlie Kirk is buzzword soup propaganda. Bro, just say the means of production. And notice how he looks up like he just thought of the phrase.
Control on the means of the best interest of people.
The means of the best interests of the people. What a big tell. This guy is a clown. Somebody get me on stage with this guy. I will destroy him. Did you know that every time Charlie Kirk tells a lie, his face recedes another inch into his head? Eventually, he will turn into an actual corn cob.
What do you think socialism is? Because I think you're misunderstood.
Socialism is what I see.
Oh, and what do you...
That guy is handsome as fuck and fucking spitting. Okay, not that.